Welcome to Living Your Senior Life, the podcast that helps you navigate your senior years with confidence, joy, and practical advice. We're Mark and Debbie, and today we're talking about something you have probably seen all over social media: apple cider vinegar. The claims are everywhere saying it will lower your blood sugar, help you lose weight, boost your energy, and transform your health. But what does the research actually say? And more importantly, what do seniors specifically need to know before trying it? That is exactly what we are covering today. Before we dive in, a quick disclaimer. The information shared on this podcast is for educational purposes only and is not intended as medical advice. Always consult your doctor or healthcare provider before making any changes to your diet, supplements, or health routine. So grab a cup of coffee, tea, or your water, get comfortable, and let's get started.
You've definitely seen the videos. I mean, you were scrolling through your social media feed, and there it is.
Oh yeah, the perfectly curated, softly lit, aesthetic clip.
Exactly. Like a rustic glass bottle of amber liquid sits on this pristine, clean, white marble counter.
Usually surrounded by, what, fresh red and green apples, maybe a few cinnamon sticks just for the vibe.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Beside it, there's always a glass of ice water with a sleek metal straw.
Right.
And a very healthy-looking person is telling you with absolute unwavering certainty that stirring just a single spoonful of this apple cider vinegar into your water every morning is going to, completely alter your life.
They promise it will miraculously lower your blood sugar, melt away weight, boost your energy, and serve as the ultimate detox for your health.
It's packaged and sold to our feeds every single day as the ultimate morning miracle.
Yeah, it's presented as this frictionless, ancient secret to modern wellness.
And when you are constantly bombarded with these kinds of absolute promises, it becomes incredibly difficult to separate a genuine health benefit from, just brilliant marketing.
Which is exactly why we are here today.
Exactly. Welcome to the deep dive.
Wow.
Our goal today is to cut straight through that exaggerated online hype by looking at the actual scientific research.
We really want to get to the bottom of this.
We are pulling our insights today from a very comprehensive guide titled Apple Cider Vinegar for Seniors: Benefits, Risks, and Reality.
And, that specific focus on older adults is vital here. We are not just analyzing a generalized wellness trend.
Right.
We are looking at how this specific substance interacts with the aging body because, biology shifts over time, the presence of daily medications increases, and frankly, the physiological stakes are just much higher.
Okay, let's unpack this. Apple cider vinegar, or ACV as the internet likes to abbreviate it, has been a staple home remedy for centuries.
Yeah, centuries, yeah.
But recently, the claims had escalated to a level that feels almost mythological.
They really have.
What the viral videos completely omit is that for older adults specifically, there are hidden systemic risks. There are severe medication interactions that simply do not fit neatly into a 30-second wellness clip.
No, they don't. Relying on a household condiment for serious medical outcomes is a dangerous byproduct of, the sheer volume of health information we process daily.
That's true.
To critically evaluate these claims, we first need to understand what this liquid actually is on a fundamental chemical level.
So let's break down what is actually happening inside that amber bottle. It is not just squeezed apple juice.
Far from it. It is the result of a really fascinating two-step fermentation process.
Okay, step one.
You start by taking crushed apples and mixing them with yeast. The yeast consumes the natural sugars present in the apples and through fermentation converts those sugars into ethanol or alcohol.
So at the end of step one, we basically just have a vat of hard apple cider.
Essentially, yes, you've got hard cider. But step two is where the actual transformation into vinegar occurs.
Right.
Specific bacteria known as acetobacter are introduced to that alcoholic cider. These bacteria consume the ethanol and convert it into acetic acid.
Acetic acid.
Exactly. That acetic acid is the star of the show. It is the main active compound in the vinegar, responsible for that incredibly sharp, biting smell and taste.
It definitely has a kick.
It does. And chemically speaking, acetic acid is the foundation for almost every single health claim you see online.
Now, anyone who has purchased one of the artisanal raw bottles has probably noticed something floating at the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
It is this cloudy, slightly stringy, almost web-like substance. The marketing labels lovingly refer to it as the mother.
The mother, right.
It always reminds me of a sourdough starter or, that thick pulp you find in fresh, unpasteurized orange juice.
That's a great comparison. It's a matrix of cellulose and acetic acid bacteria left over from that second stage of fermentation.
It looks murky and maybe a bit suspicious to the uninitiated, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
But it is heavily marketed as the source of all the beneficial organic matter, enzymes, and proteins.
People will go absolutely out of their way to buy raw, unfiltered brands specifically to get the mother.
They really do.
But the marketing undeniably leans into that romanticized image of a raw, living liquid. However, when we actually evaluate the clinical studies, a stark contrast emerges.
What do you mean?
Well, the research comparing these expensive, raw, unfiltered vinegars against standard, clear, filtered vinegar is actually extremely limited.
Wait, really?
Yeah. The vast majority of rigorous scientific studies focus entirely on the physiological effects of the acetic acid itself.
Oh, wow. So the scientists are in the laboratory measuring the strict chemical reactions of the acid, while the marketing campaigns are hyper-focused on the cloudy, romanticized leftovers at the bottom of the bottle.
Exactly. The clinical outcomes observed in laboratories are driven by the active compound.
The acid.
Right. So if we strip away all the hype about the mother, we can actually examine how acetic acid interacts with the complex machinery of the human body.
Okay, let's start with the claims that are actually grounded in real research, the plausible benefits.
Let's do it.
The most prominent area, which is even acknowledged by organizations like the American Diabetes Association, involves blood sugar regulation.
Yes. There are peer-reviewed, albeit small, studies demonstrating that vinegar may help reduce post-meal blood sugar levels for certain individuals.
Like people managing diabetes.
Yeah. One widely cited study involved subjects with insulin resistance or type 2 diabetes. When these individuals consumed vinegar prior to a carbohydrate-heavy meal, their post-meal blood glucose levels were significantly lower compared to a control group that did not consume the vinegar.
The mechanics of how that actually happens are brilliant.
They are.
Because the body normally uses an enzyme called amylase to break down complex carbohydrates into simple sugars, like glucose. And then those sugars enter the bloodstream.
What's fascinating here is the why behind that absurd drop. Acetic acid is believed to temporarily suppress or inhibit the activity of that amylase enzyme in the digestive tract.
So it slows it down.
Exactly. By physically slowing down the enzymatic breakdown of those starches, the acetic acid prevents a massive sudden rush of glucose from hitting the bloodstream all at once.
It essentially smooths out the spike, stretching the absorption of sugar over a longer period.
Right.
I like to think of it as a chemical speed bump on the digestive highway.
That is a perfect analogy. But the guide is meticulous in pointing out the scale of these studies.
Right. We have to be careful here.
They are small, short-term observations. A modest smoothing of a glucose spike does not mean anyone should discard their prescribed diabetes management plan for, a vinaigrette.
Definitely not.
It is a supplementary, modest benefit. It is absolutely not a pharmaceutical replacement.
Got it. Another area where the biology suggests a plausible benefit is digestion, specifically regarding bloating in older adults.
Yes.
We hear constantly that ACV cures bloating, which sounds like standard internet hyperbole. But the biological mechanism for an aging stomach actually makes sense.
It does. Let's look at how the stomach works. The stomach relies on parietal cells to produce hydrochloric acid, which in turn activates enzymes like pepsin to break down proteins.
Okay.
As we age, the efficiency of those parietal cells can decline. That leads to lower overall stomach acid production.
And if an aging digestive system is not producing enough natural stomach acid to efficiently break down a heavy meal, the food just sits longer in the stomach. Right?
It sits there, fermenting and causing that heavy, bloated sensation.
So the theory is that introducing an external acid, like the acetic acid in vinegar, lowers the overall pH of the stomach just enough to aid in that breakdown process.
Exactly, offering some relief.
Okay, but I do have to challenge one of the other digestion-adjacent claims in the source material, though.
Oh, which one?
The guide mentions that acetic acid has been shown to kill or inhibit harmful bacteria like E. coli in a laboratory setting.
Yes, it has.
But pouring diluted vinegar into a highly complex, mucus-lined human digestive tract is fundamentally different than dropping it directly onto a sterile petri dish. I mean, right.
That distinction is critical. Test tube biology rarely translates directly to human biology.
Yeah.
In a lab, the acid comes into direct, undiluted contact with the bacteria. But inside the human body, that vinegar is diluted by water, neutralized by saliva, mixed with vast quantities of food, and buffered by the stomach's protective linings.
Right. It's a totally different environment.
So the idea that a tablespoon of vinegar operates as a targeted antimicrobial search and destroy mission inside your gut is frankly scientifically unfounded.
Which brings us perfectly to the crossover point where the actual science stops and the internet hype takes the wheel.
The hype is real.
We have established that acetic acid can mildly inhibit starch breakdown and perhaps supplement low stomach acid. But we need to systematically unpack the broader, miraculous claims spreading online.
Where should we start?
Let's start with the holy grail of internet marketing: weight loss.
Ah, yes. The weight loss claim is a classic example of exaggerating a microscopic finding.
So it doesn't mill fat.
No. There are a few studies showing a very small effect on weight, but the mechanism isn't some magical metabolic boost.
Then what is it?
Often, the intense acidity of the vinegar simply causes mild nausea, which inadvertently reduces a person's appetite.
Oh, wow. So you just feel slightly sick, so you eat less.
Exactly. It is not a reliable, safe, or long-term mechanism for weight management.
The danger of extrapolation seems to be the common thread here, because I see videos claiming ACV significantly lowers cholesterol, too. But the leap from the laboratory to the human cardiovascular system seems vast.
It is a massive leap.
Yeah.
The claims regarding cholesterol are largely extrapolated from animal models, specifically rats.
Rats.
Right. And the metabolic processing in a rat liver is fundamentally different from a human liver.
Obviously.
While an animal study might show a reduction in lipid profiles, the human clinical trials are highly limited, short-term, and wildly inconsistent.
Some of the more reckless videos even position it as a preventative measure for cancer.
That one is really troubling. There is zero solid human clinical evidence indicating that apple cider vinegar prevents, treats, or slows cancer. Zero. Circulating those claims crosses the line from overly enthusiastic marketing into genuinely irresponsible territory.
Then there is the morning energy boost myth. The idea that taking a shot of vinegar jumpstarts your cellular energy.
Right.
Which is baffling to me, considering acetic acid contains essentially zero usable calories or macronutrients?
Exactly. People seem to be confusing the natural caloric energy provided by eating a whole, fresh apple with the acidic byproduct of fermenting one.
So it's not an energy drink?
No. There is no biological pathway through which acetic acid provides a sudden surge of cellular energy.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me, the detox myth.
Oh, the detox myth.
The social media narrative insists you need to drink this aggressively foul-tasting vinegar to cleanse your internal system of mysterious toxins.
Mysterious being the key word there.
Yeah, and the irony is staggering because the human body already contains the most sophisticated, highly advanced filtration systems imaginable. The liver and the kidneys.
Your liver and kidneys operate 24 hours a day, filtering blood, neutralizing actual physiological toxins, and excreting waste with a level of efficiency no condiment could ever hope to match.
Right.
There is absolutely no credible medical evidence that apple cider vinegar enhances, speeds up, or improves hepatic or renal detoxification.
We have these vital organs performing complex biochemical filtration, and the internet narrative suggests a spoonful of fermented apple juice is somehow the missing link to internal purity.
It's wild when you say it out loud.
It really highlights why we have to examine the root of these trends. The internet is obsessed with this stuff because it offers the illusion of control. It's a cheap, accessible hack for incredibly complex physiological systems.
It really is a byproduct of modern wellness fatigue.
Wellness fatigue. I like that phrase.
Yeah, I mean, when navigating health feels overwhelming, the promise of a single, simple intervention becomes incredibly seductive. And that often overrides our critical thinking.
True. But, if someone drinks a glass of vinegar hoping for boundless energy or a liver detox, the worst outcome is usually just a bad taste in their mouth and a wasted few dollars.
Yeah, usually yes.
But the narrative changes entirely when that seemingly harmless remedy actively causes physical damage.
And it absolutely can.
This is the most crucial segment of our deep dive today. For older adults, age introduces structural and chemical changes to the body that turn a benign habit into a real risk.
Yes, let's get into the risks. The first major risk targets a structure you might not immediately associate with your stomach, your teeth.
The teeth.
To understand the danger, we have to look at the pH scale. Pure water is neutral at a pH of 7.
Right.
Tooth enamel begins to demineralize and erode when exposed to an environment with a pH of 5.5 or lower.
Okay.
Apple cider vinegar sits way down the scale at a highly acidic pH of around 2 to 3.
Wow. And aging naturally thins out tooth enamel over time anyway, exposing the softer dentin underneath.
Exactly.
If you take an older adult's naturally thinning enamel and subject it to a daily wash of a highly concentrated acid, you are rapidly accelerating that demineralization.
You are. It is irreversible structural damage disguised as a health routine.
And beyond the oral cavity, that concentrated acid travels down the esophagus, creating severe risks for the digestive system too, right?
Oh, definitely. We mentioned earlier that a slight increase in acidity might help someone with low stomach acid, but for anyone suffering from GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disease, the effect is disastrous.
GERD is a condition where the lower esophageal sphincter relaxes improperly, allowing stomach acid to wash back up into the esophagus.
Right.
And the lining of the esophagus is delicate. It is not built to withstand harsh acids like the stomach lining is.
Correct. So if you already have GERD, acid reflux, or gastric ulcers, voluntarily swallowing a highly acidic liquid is just pouring fuel on a fire.
That sounds incredibly painful.
It is. It will heavily irritate the mucosal lining, leading to severe discomfort and worsening of the underlying condition.
But the most alarming revelation in this research involves the chemical interactions between apple cider vinegar and standard prescription medications,
This is the part people really need to hear.
particularly concerning the body's potassium levels. The source explicitly cites warnings from the Mayo Clinic about this.
Yes, the Mayo Clinic is very clear on this.
Consuming large amounts of ACV over time has been linked to hypokalemia, which is a severe drop in blood potassium levels.
And potassium isn't just a minor nutrient. It is an essential electrolyte that dictates muscle function and, critically, the electrical signaling that regulates heart rhythm.
So a significant drop in potassium leads to what?
Profound muscle weakness, severe cramping, and life-threatening cardiac arrhythmias.
Oh, wow.
This is precisely where the medication interactions become a cascading danger, particularly with a drug like digoxin. Digoxin is frequently prescribed for heart failure and irregular heartbeats. It works by inhibiting a very specific sodium-potassium pump in the heart muscle cells.
Which means digoxin's safety and effectiveness are entirely dependent on the body having a stable, normal level of potassium in the blood.
Exactly.
If potassium drops too low, digoxin toxicity occurs, which can be fatal.
It can be.
Yeah.
And it isn't just digoxin. ACV interacts dangerously with common diuretics, insulin, and certain laxatives.
So what does this all mean for an older adult managing a standard daily routine? Let's say a senior is taking a prescribed diuretic to manage their blood pressure.
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the danger becomes clear. Diuretics help lower blood pressure by flushing excess fluid and sodium from the body, but in doing so, they also flush out potassium.
Okay.
A known, closely monitored side effect of many diuretics is lowered potassium levels.
Imagine that same individual sees a viral video and decides to start taking large daily doses of apple cider vinegar for weight loss. The diuretic is actively flushing potassium out of their system, and the heavy vinegar intake begins lowering their potassium levels even further through increased renal excretion.
They have inadvertently engineered a compounding chemical deficit.
That is terrifying.
It is. The combination forces their potassium levels to plummet, triggering muscle cramps and erratic heart palpitations.
And because ACV is marketed as a perfectly safe, natural food product, neither the patient nor their doctor would immediately suspect the morning water routine as the culprit for a sudden cardiac event.
Exactly. And the exact same compounding danger applies to diabetes management.
Oh, so?
Well, if a patient is taking prescribed insulin or medication specifically engineered to lower blood glucose, and they introduce a daily habit of ACV, which we know mildly suppresses the release of glucose into the blood, they risk driving their blood sugar down to dangerously low levels.
Resulting in hypoglycemia.
Yes, this is the definitive proof that the label natural is not a synonym for safe. Biologically active compounds exert real forces on the body, regardless of whether they originate in a laboratory or a fermented apple.
Okay, so if someone listening has factored in all these risks, confirmed they do not have GERD or sensitive teeth, and successfully cleared it with their physician to seek that modest post-meal blood sugar benefit, there are strict rules of engagement.
Very strict rules.
If you were going to use it, you have to protect your biology.
The absolute non-negotiable first rule is dilution. Acetic acid must be diluted with water to neutralize its corrosive potential.
So no taking it like a shot.
Never drink it straight as a shot. That practically guarantees tissue damage to the throat and esophagus over time.
A standard safe baseline is mixing exactly 1 teaspoon of vinegar into a very large full glass of water.
Yes. Start small to monitor how your gastrointestinal tract responds.
The guide also firmly advises the use of a straw.
This is crucial for your teeth. By positioning a straw toward the back of the mouth, you physically bypass the teeth, minimizing the acidic wash over your enamel.
That makes total sense.
And even after using a straw, it is imperative to rinse the mouth thoroughly with plain water to clear any lingering acidity.
Now, regarding dosage, the strict upper limit is 1 to 2 tablespoons per day, properly diluted.
Max.
There is a prevalent misconception in wellness culture that if a small amount of a natural substance is good, a massive amount must be a cure-all. More is not better here.
No, biology operates on delicate balances. Even pure water is toxic if consumed in vast excess.
True.
Treating a concentrated acid with anything less than total respect is a fast track to eroded enamel and a damaged esophagus. Respecting the active compound is the only way to engage with it safely.
As we wrap up this deep dive, the narrative we've uncovered is far more nuanced than a 30-second video can capture.
It really is.
Apple cider vinegar is not a magical elixir. It does offer a modest, chemically verifiable benefit for smoothing out post-meal blood sugar spikes by interacting with digestive enzymes.
Right. And it might offer slight digestive relief for an aging stomach producing less acid.
But the systemic detoxing, the effortless weight loss, the cancer prevention, and the soaring energy levels are products of extrapolated science and heavy marketing.
Just hype.
Furthermore, the very real threats to tooth enamel, the aggravation of gastric conditions, and the severe compounding interactions with diuretics, insulin, and heart medications make consulting a doctor an absolute prerequisite for older adults.
You have to keep your doctor in the loop.
The truth is anchored in the middle. It is a conditionally useful tool, not a universal remedy.
You know, taking a step back, the sheer cultural fascination with apple cider vinegar reveals our deep, almost primal desire to return to the simplicity of ancient remedies.
We really do love the narrative of an ancestral cure.
We do, but what that narrative completely ignores is that our ancestors, who utilized these natural ferments centuries ago, never had to account for how that vinegar might chemically collide with highly complex modern pharmaceuticals.
Right. They weren't taking blood pressure meds.
Exactly. They were not balancing their morning tonics against synthetic loop diuretics or laboratory-engineered insulin. We are trying to seamlessly blend ancient, unregulated medicine with precisely calibrated modern science.
A massive collision.
It is a collision, and that collision is exactly why full transparency with your physician is more vital today than ever before.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope this arms you with a bit more clarity the next time a perfectly aesthetic, heavily filtered wellness video promises you a miracle in a bottle. Stay curious, keep critically evaluating the mechanics of these trends, and we will see you next time.
That is a wrap on today's episode of Living Your Senior Life. I hope this gave you a clear and honest picture of what apple cider vinegar can and cannot do, so you can make the best decision for your own health. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe and share it with a friend who might find it beneficial. For more tips, resources, and everyday encouragement for life after 50, be sure to visit livingyourSeniorLife.com. And as always, until next time, take care of yourself and live your best senior life.